Well, hello and welcome. Thanks for joining me. And super excited to be here. And for those of you that don't know me or know my work, my name's Kerrie Wearing. And I'm really passionate about connecting women to their divine feminine, empowering their sense of self, your creativity, and your mediumship abilities so that you live a life guided with love, purpose, and spirit. And that's me in a nutshell, basically. And if you are a regular follower of my work, you'll know that over the course of the last few weeks, I've been going through some major change in regards to my work. And I guess that's, something that's happening through all parts of my life, but you see it here as my work and how I am of service in this world. And these Facebook Lives are all a part of that. You'll know that I do regularly come here to be of service, to connect with you, share information, educate, do all of those things. And that's what this morning is about. But I've just tweaked things a little bit so that actually I find myself enjoying more of coming to you in a Facebook Live. So today's format, and I guess a weekly format, is basically what we're going to do here today is going to talk a little bit about the spiritual energies for the week and help you with a little more insight into getting through any challenges that you might have this week. We're then going to discuss a topic every week, and this week's topic is what is an empath. Let's work and identify that and get you really clear on what it means to be an empath, because I know many of you on my page here would all have empath sensitivities in some way, and we're going to talk about what the biggest challenge is with that. Then after that, there's time for Q&A, little questions and answers, and answering your questions around today's topic. So let's get into it, basically. So if you are a regular follower on my page and a regular follower of my work, you will know that every Sunday that I put out a pick a card post, pick a spirit guide wisdom card. You'll see these as part of the post, and you'll pick whichever one resonates with you, card 1, 2, or 3. And then later in the day, we do the card reveal. Now, this week, the energies I'm going to share with you, the first card that came through was Arid Desert. So if you resonated with one, the first card, it would have been this one. Now, Arid Desert, Wasteland, it really felt like you were coming out of hibernation, that you were leading towards the oasis in the desert, so to speak, and which was therefore heading you towards new growth. Now that was happening. It felt like it was happening this week, and I'm just getting confirmation of that. So new growth, definitely. That will be with things like a mindset. It will be with circumstances in your life. But it's a new, fresh breath of fresh air energy coming through for you. And then card number 2 was Heaven's Gateway and a sense of freedom. And this really was the result of a soul shift that you had occurred for you in the weeks leading up to this week. So you've had a soul shift. The result of that is freedom. And the question was basically, what are you free to do now that you weren't a month ago or weren't 6 months ago? What freedom in your choices is there? This was a week to just reflect and really sort of see what you had achieved in that regard if you chose card 2. Now, card 3, Buffalo, Universal Abundance, and it really meant that you had done a lot of work. it really meant that you had done a lot of soul shifting, a lot of questioning within, and really starting to see the results from an abundance perspective. So that's what's happening. And this week, this card was a reminder to trust, because it's not going to be an overnight success for you. It's going to be a slow integration of the new you, is what I hear. So, but you will start seeing that abundance showing up in your life in different ways. So this week was really a need to trust. Now, being that we're part of the way through the week, what I really wanted to do is just recap those energies, but then also draw an additional card to just help us identify what's the energy that we can use to get us through any challenges that are presenting right now. So what's the spiritual energy that is going to help us get through right now with whatever challenges you've got going on in your life right this week? Now, for those of you that don't know, I like to use my Spirit Guide Wisdom deck. They are a self-created deck that I channeled the wisdom for back in 2005. And, they're part of my creativity, part of my creation, and I do love working with them. So I'm just going to pull one of these out for all of us. And the card that we have is Dolphin and Playfulness. So in answer to any challenges we've got, I clearly have take time out. Step back away from your challenges. Step back away from that and just move forward by actually engaging in play. So catch up with your friends, have a coffee, go out and do something that you enjoy just for the sake of doing. Just don't try and push through the challenges. Just enjoy it. Go have a picnic, get out in the sun, and I'm hearing this and I'm going, I need to be taking my own advice. So just play for the sake of playing, get in creative mode. If you paint, if you quilt, if you, whatever you might do, get out in your garden, all of those things that just speak of playtime for you to enjoy. Connect with others, go have those coffee chats up with your soul sisters. That's one of the reasons for that is I can really sense that if you are looking for answers, if you are looking for solutions, you're not going to get them while you're right in the middle of your challenge. So take a step back, just take a breath, go have some fun, call in the energy of Dolphin, and then the wisdom and the answers that you need to proceed will come. So that's the Spirit Guide Wisdom for this week. That's where the universal energies are at for us. So I just hope that just helped you get a little insight, a little inspiration, and it just might power up your inspiration to get you through with whatever you might be dealing with right this week. So that's all that's about. So let's have a chat about what it is to be an empath, and essentially I've just got, I have got notes here, keep me on track, especially at the moment because my mind just does tend to sort of blank out sometimes. Just because I've got some really heavy personal stuff going on and I'm just trying to be here in the moment and focus on the things that I enjoy. So me even coming here, doing this Facebook Live really feels a little bit like playtime for me. So I sort of am taking some of my own advice, basically. So yes, I want to talk to you about being an empath and what it is to be an empath. And an empath is defined as someone who has paranormal ability, whether you realize it or not, to connect with the emotions, to connect with the physical pain, connect with the energy of others, the energy of other spaces. It's really, that's where it comes from. So you would find yourself being really easily feeling like when you walk into a room, you can feel the vibe of that space really quite easily. When you connect with a friend, whatever, you would be feeling how they're feeling emotionally with you right then. It'll be the kind of thing that if you're in the online space regularly, you'll feel all sorts of emotions coming in through that channel for you, whether it speaks to, whether it's a positive experience or whether it's a negative experience. You have the ability to, in the moment, feel the physical pain of another. Be it that they might have, back pain, for example, you would be able to connect and feel that. You have the ability to heal and make others feel lighter. Might come at a cost to you, which we'll talk about in a minute, but however, that's why the connection is being made. That's why you're feeling their pain, basically, and why you're, whether it be it emotional, physical, whatever it might be, you just have a real tendency to be in the energy of others, and it does happen psychically and paranormally, whatever you want to call it. Now, the reason why we do that, why that's happened, is a lot of empaths actually incarnate into this world with a soul agreement. And that soul agreement is that you have agreed that your energy, your soul, can be used to transform energy and heal. So in those moments when you are making that connection, there is actually so much more going on than what you may perceive. That your soul is literally taking their pain, their energy, and transforming it, giving them healing, and you are letting it go back to the universe with love. Whether you realize that that's going on or not, that's the purpose of it. And I know for me, I do see it as part of my job as a medium. I know that if I do an event or if I do a day of readings, that the next day and that evening, if I crash, if I am tired, whatever it might be. Back in the early days, I used to get a bit crabby the next day, all of those things. And I just generally do see it as the fact that my soul is providing that healing for others. And I do see it as part of my job description. So I guess I'm well aware of the soul agreement contract that I have agreed to. And that's the purpose of empaths. That's why empaths have this ability. So the key then is to, one, we always have free will. So the choice is, do you want to be empowered in your empath sensitivities, or do you want to, not be in your power with it? And therefore you encounter more challenges. It's a choice. Do you want to engage in the spiritual agreement? Do you want to engage in that way? Or do you want to just switch it off, turn it off, and let others be as they may? It's a big question, and it just does take a lot of thoughts. And I think we might cover that it really sort of covered, because the reason why you will want to turn it off is the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge that we encounter is the detriment to our own energy, is the fact that we will feel overwhelmed, that we are honestly, the biggest challenge is the energy drain, is that we are left feeling depleted. Now, that's the reason why you want to turn it off, but essentially that just means that you're not in your power with it. So, because when you are in your power with it and you're offering healing, albeit unconsciously or consciously, that healing process is one of upliftment. It's one of love to both parties involved. So there's no need for the drain. So the draining comes from the fact that you're not in your power with it. And to uncover why that is does take a little bit of soul searching, you know. So, and the reason why you want to turn it off is detrimental, but it doesn't have to be detrimental. And I guess that's what I'm here to sort of share and explain. It doesn't have to be that way. And I can help you with that. I do have an empath activation program starting Monday on the 5th of August. Now, this is an online video program. Every Monday, a new video will drop. You can join me for the live, or you can watch it at your own pace, which is, I know most people will be doing. So you can join me. We will go through what it is to be an empath. We will identify, are you an empath, you know? But I'm pretty sure that if you feel like what I'm talking about and this happens to you, that you are going to be an empath. We're going to talk about all those popular topics of energy protection and shielding, and actually why I see those as Band-Aid solutions. And I would much prefer to work with you to understand how the law of attraction plays a role, and how the essence of your divine feminine is where true empowerment lies. So, and if you sign up before the end of this month, before the end of July, then definitely you will also receive a bonus of my intuitive journaling course. That in itself will help prepare you for your empath activation series, but you get the bonus of intuitive journaling as well. So 2 courses for the measly price of $130 if you pay in full. So, and empath activation is a 12-week program. So there's going to be lots filtered in there, and I'm going to help you overcome the challenges of what being an empath is for you. So, so I want you to join me there. Now, as I said, we had some questions, have some time for questions and answers on today's topic. So if anyone watching does have some questions around being an empath, what's your biggest challenge? What you would like to know about being an empath? How does it really work? What you can do in your life? Any of those sort of questions. And I do have some that have come in from a series of posts I made yesterday afternoon. So I'm going to share with those. And Vanda asks the difference between an empath and someone that is highly sensitive. Now, there's actually a cause for the fact that there's not a lot of, if you look at being highly sensitive as being psychically sensitive, then there's actually really not a lot of difference. But if you look at the word sensitive as being someone that is emotionally sensitive, then there is a bit of a difference between the two, because emotionally sensitive means that you're going to be easily triggered, easily upset, and it's all about your stuff. You know, things would occur and you'll just be triggered, and the well of emotion is just right to the surface all the time. You would probably find things like taking lots of things personally and being triggered by that, you know, whether it's other people's judgment, just that kind of sensitive nature where things can really sort of emotionally upset you quite easily, I guess. That's how I would sort of determine the difference. You can be easily upset by other people's stories, and it would be triggering your own stuff. But there's a different feel in the energy for sure, because for someone that could be highly sensitive, a lot of it would be, yes, you would wear your heart on your sleeve, and yes, you would be emotionally triggered. But there does have a feel of there's no external energy source coming in. That's the difference, and that's hard to explain in logical terms when I can sort of feel that as a medium, So the difference with an empath is there's a definite external energy source that comes in, and it's not just triggered by the mind. So an example would be with someone that is highly sensitive, they would be having a conversation, they would see something, they would hear something that would trigger their sensitive emotion, that would trigger their sensitive response to that. Whereas an empath, if you have an external energy source coming in to trigger your sensitivities, you don't even have to be thinking. You don't have to be thinking about what's going on. You wouldn't be triggered in that way. The approach would be from a completely different space. So you might be thinking about your shopping list, for example, and then all of a sudden just feeling a wave of emotion coming in. You would then suddenly be feeling overwhelmed. That response might then bring up your shit, for sure. That is part of what happens for an empath, but it's not necessarily that you're being triggered by the story or you're being triggered by anything else. It's an energy trigger, very different. So I hope that sort of explains a little bit there for you, Vanda. I'm pretty sure you'll get where I'm going with that, and I hope others do too. And by all means, if you have questions, then please ask. Julie says she prays to Archangel Michael for protection, but how does she know she's really protected? And when we had a little bit of a talk and I asked her what she was asking Archangel Michael to protect her from, it really was undesirable spirits when she's doing channeling and things like that. And this is a little bit of a tricky one because it's not so much tricky. It's the whole thing of I want you, because in that moment you're asking for protection. You're not empowered. It's being sponsored by fear because you are scared that something is going to happen to you, that you are going to have undesirable connections with the spirit world. And what I truly want for you is for you to be fearless in that moment, is for you to not need that protection, is for you to not have that fear. So I want you first and foremost to deal with the fear. And if that means stepping out of your comfort zone and going on a ghost tour, then give that a go. If it means in your own way, talking to your guides, Julie, and sort of saying, I want to break down this fear, help me do it in a way that is comfortable for me or that is right for me, and they then they step you through it. I want you to address that. Because ultimately, as a medium, we shouldn't be working with any fear. We can't be the best mediums we can be if we're bringing fear to the table. So we want to break that down. We want to work through that. I did say to Julie that to question, if she doesn't have undesirable connections, then that would be the proof that she is protected. However, still work towards breaking down the fear, because ultimately, for this very reason, I see protection as a band-aid solution. And as I said, in the empath activation, I'm going to work with you to see things differently, and how if you do have an experience, there's a purpose for that. There's a reason why. There's an attraction point that's within your soul. Now, that could just be the fear, because fear does attract, and sometimes a lot stronger than your spirit attracts. So we want to shift and change those attraction points, and we want to understand what they are first. So I hope that helps a little bit there, Julie. And Tracy asks, she says that she acknowledges as an empath she is here to heal, which is a great starting point, but also does want to know, how do you stop the draining? How do you stop where it feels detrimental to you? And as I mentioned earlier, Tracy, and I know you are working with me and that you have signed up for empath activation. So we're going to shift this for you. And I know that first and foremost, we do need to recognize, like I talked about before, that in that moment when we're healing, in that very moment, if we're in our power with it, then there is no drain. If we're in that true connection of spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, if we're in where it's love, it's a vibration of love in that interaction, it's this thing. I'm not very good at that, but anyway. When we come at it from that space, then the energy is a high vibration. It's a love vibration. Now, I know that that's not always easy to do on a day-to-day basis, where half the time as an empath, you don't even know that you're going to be making that connection. So therefore, it comes back to who we are and what we're about. So be in the power of who we truly are. Be in that space of love. And then when you walk with love, you are bringing that to each and every interaction, connection you make, be it where you're just hanging out with friends, dealing with difficult situations. That it's a seamless integration all around, including your empath connections, those that are not known, those that are unknown. Be in the power in who you are will affect that drain. Now, there is a quick solution. The quick win is to simply ask your soul, and I used to do this. I used to do things like, if I went to a hospital and I was well aware that I would come away drained because of the healing that was being given out. But a lot of times, if I'm at a hospital, it's because I'm there with someone else and I need to supporting them, as is the case right now. So I used to send a directive to my soul and to my spirit and just say, hey, I'm okay to give healing where it's needed, but please, not to the detriment of my own physicality, not to the detriment of my energy. I still need what I need. So, and I used to find that worked really well. It does take some time to build awareness. It does take some time to build that relationship with your energy, that it takes direction in that way. But, if you don't start, it won't happen. But it can just be as simple as that, Tracy. So give that a go. And the long-term, less band-aidy solution is to learn to be in your power. So anyway, I want to thank you for those that did join me today. I've really enjoyed just having this chat, and I know many of you will catch the replay and the replay video later. So please, just if you have questions after anything I've discussed or whatever it might be, I just pop a question. I'm happy to answer. And I'll see you next time. Have a great week.